Hi, my name is Deanna, and I'm the owner of Wild Wise Collaborative. I wanted to tell you about an example that I did with storytelling with nature. This was in an alternative school setting, and it was for middle school kids, anywhere from third. So actually, um, elementary and middle school. So third to sixth grade, it was a mixed age class. And this class was actually pretty in depth. There was multiple pieces to it. It started out with looking at local history and kind of morphed from there. But the piece that I want to talk about is the storytelling piece, where the kids then, after they had done all this other work, they created a fictional town in along the stream that was in our local area, and it was a collaborative project. And they created the town, they created the characters, they built out the town, where are the streets, where are the shops, things like that. So there was a lot of collaborative work, a lot of problem solving, and they came up with this village or this town that had grown up around this stream. And from there, they then created a 3D version of their village or their town that they had created. And it was pretty big. I had a piece of plywood. It was like a 4 by 4. So it was fairly substantial. And it took, quite a while to do it. But while they were working on that, they had an individual piece where they created mystery stories around the characters in their village, in their town. And so that's where I was getting some writing in. And so they did a lot of talking back and forth about different characters and what was happening. It was all very engaging. The kids loved it. I was a bystander. I was just making sure they were following the rules of writing, and making, those kind of things that a teacher would do to help improve the writing. But what they did, which was so exciting for me, was a group of them got together. And not only did they create their individual stories, but they created them in such a way that they created a series. And so that went above and beyond anything that I had ever anticipated, because there's so much more involved in creating a series. They had to make sure that everything lined up, that the timeline lined up. Um, and they just took off on it. They only needed to write like 1 or 2 pages in a story. I wasn't asking for a whole lot. But there was at least one student who had 16 pages, and she still wasn't done. So the reason I tell you this is because I feel like this kind of interdisciplinary learning is so engaging to students. They all loved it. Not one of them was, came in saying, "Oh, I don't want to do this." They had a blast. They took it far beyond wherever, where my boundary, where I wanted them to go. It incorporated reading, it incorporated history, it incorporated art, it incorporated STEM because, or, engineering, because they had to design the buildings that then went on there. They had to think about where the river was and where the mill was and the dam and all these other pieces that I didn't really talk about. They had to work together and problem solve. They had to write. They had to think about timelines. Um, and that was probably one of my very favorite things that I've ever taught, because they really just took off on it. So interdisciplinary learning, I feel, is a great way to engage students in meaningful learning processes. And that's what I strive for in all of my writing, my curriculum development, be that classes that I'm teaching or the classes that I'm creating for grab and go curriculum, or my Explorer kits, which you can find on my website at wildwisecollaborative.com. Thanks for listening, and let me know if you have any questions. I love talking about interdisciplinary learning, and would love to chat with you.